I am wearing the same shirt as a lot of these other videos. It's because I sat down and recorded them all at once. So do not judge me. Alright, well, this video is going to be talking about, and I touched on this in other ones, about, you know, not being able to watch things. I feel like this deserved its own video, all by itself, because there's so much to unpack. This one we're talking about why we weren't allowed to watch Harry Potter, and now my family loves Harry Potter. The movies came out when I was younger. I don't remember how old I was. I was a kid. My family being what they were and being raised in a conservative household, let alone the fact that we were homeschooled, that just added to it. But just being raised in church in the South in the United States, they already had a thing against Harry Potter anyway, because witchcraft and, you know, those demons and stuff. And they just were like, Satan's in it, Satan's in everything. You can see Satan in a loaf of bread. I mean, Satan's everywhere. Satan's gonna get your kids. Harry Potter was definitely a no-go in our house, as it was for a lot of people who grew up in similar situations. But I remember, and I've talked about this with my sister, and it's just so funny because my parents are so bad about gaslighting us about this. They're like, none of this ever happened. We're like, it literally happened, and you're just pretending it didn't so you don't have to fess up to it. But there was a traveling preacher person, I don't know what his title was, who actually came to our house when Harry Potter came out. And he had a whole slideshow. And I saw part of his video. I want to say I saw him on the internet somewhere. And I was like, that's the dude! Had a whole presentation on how Harry Potter was evil, how it was real witchcraft, how there was a real castle in England that was a real witchcraft education facility. I don't remember if he called it an academy or what. And how they would teach your kids, and you could ship your kids away to them, and they would teach them witchcraft, and the professors were ghosts, and there was actual demons, and they would teach you demon summoning. And he had a PowerPoint with videos and like excerpts from articles from other conservative pastors, all backing up these statements. And I remember the whole church was just eating it up, and everyone was just freaking out, and just, it was insane. And I was like, and I didn't know what to think of it. I was terrified. Because I didn't know what Harry Potter was. I just remember them talking about how there's real demons, and I was like, oh my gosh, we're all gonna get possessed from Harry Potter. Like, I just remember being terrified as a child because I didn't really know what was going on. Just everyone was so angry about some academy in England that people were shipping their children away to, so they can learn about demons. And it was very concerning. And I, like, when my friends were reading Harry Potter, and I was like, how could you read Harry Potter with, like, aren't you afraid of Satan and demons getting your soul? You know, they'd be like, what are you talking about? What is wrong with you? And it's just, it was very weird. And this is the part where my parents loved to gaslight us on, because my dad used to go, and whenever he could find Harry Potter books and DVDs, he would bring them home and break them, because he said he was, quote, trying to keep them out of other people's hands so they wouldn't get misled. My dad broke all the movies he could find. Like, when we went to yard sales, he would buy them just so he could bring them home and break them to keep other people from watching them. And you think the millions of copies that are out there, like, you did not make a dent in it. You were wasting our money for no good reason, for your own weird agenda. Books, I remember him distinctly tearing up a book and putting it, next time we had a bonfire, he used it to light in the bonfire. But if we talk to them, they're like, we never did that. We're like, yes, you literally did. Both me and my sister remember it distinctly, and like, our friends remember you doing it because it wasn't like he hid that he did it. Like, they'd just be openly out somewhere, and they're like, that's evil, blah blah blah, that's Satan, blah blah, and he would get rid of it. And he's like, I'm trying to keep this out of the hands of other people to keep them safe. And like, it was a whole thing. And fast forward, you know, 10 years or whatever, to my husband. My husband was raised like a normal kid. He watched Harry Potter growing up. He read the books. He loved it. And this is all, we're just talking about Harry Potter as itself. We are not getting into the whole thing with J.K. Rowling and her transphobia and all the other stuff, because I hate her as a person. I've never really been, I do have to be honest, I've never really been into the Harry Potter series, probably because I don't have the nostalgia of it growing up. I've been to Harry Potter World. I've seen all the movies. I have not read the books. I don't feel like wasting my time doing it at this point in my life. because I really just hate J.K. Rowling's. And I know a lot of people are good at separating the two. I'm not. So, but anyway, so that's an aside. But I have seen all the movies, and I have gone to Harry Potter World because that was a fun experience. Anyway, bringing my husband to the crew, who was raised with it and was like, no, this is perfectly normal and safe and fun, and they're cute movies. And so we started watching them, like, without my dad's knowledge at our house. And then he walks in once, it's like, oh, what's this? And we're like, one of the Harry Potter movies. And my mom's like, oh yeah, we've already watched them, they're cute. And he's like, huh. And he sits down and starts watching it. That dude loves them. My dad loves Harry Potter. He says, quote, Harry Potter is just, quote, a nice little boy who wants to help people. Now, I think Harry Potter is chaotic and obnoxious. As a child, I'm like, this child does not follow the rules. That's just coming from me. I'm very much a rules father. I would definitely be Hermione. I'm just saying, I would be Hermione because I am not here for Harry Potter's all his stuff. I want to beat that child. I'm like, no, I'm gonna shake you. But yeah, my dad just thought he was the greatest. My dad loves the movies now. They've been to, they didn't get to go to Harry Potter World with us because they were at Disney doing a different trip, but like they want to go. They're making plans on going whenever they get the money. He loves the movies. They've watched them lots of times. They buy all sorts of memorabilia and stuff, Harry Potter stuff for my sister. It just goes to show for me, like, once they got that toxicness from the church out of their minds after they kind of forgot that it happened over the years, and then a nice neutral person like my husband came in and reintroduced them to an idea they kind of forgotten about after the hype had died down at church, and they were actually being open-minded, normal human beings. They're like, oh, this is fine. And I feel like I should also go to say that all those things, all the other videos where I talk about, you know, where we weren't allowed to do this, weren't allowed to do that, that was growing up. My parents have changed a lot over the years. There's still some things that are really stuck on. My parents are both baby boomers, so that whole generation, they're just a little different. They like a lot of Disney movies now. We do watch a lot of things. They love Lord of the Rings. They love the Marvel movies. My parents are huge into watching superhero movies. They like things like Star Trek and Star Wars. Like, they love all that now. It's just so weird how growing up things were different and how it took someone else to introduce them to it, and they're like, oh, this was fine. This was fine all along, but you were so wrapped up with what the church was telling you where you couldn't see what was plainly obvious. And if you read the books, you would have realized not demon worshipping and summoning Satan aren't even in there. Their version of witchcraft, which isn't even real witchcraft, and it's a bunch of fake spells, which are some Latin words and made up words. It's just funny to me. So yeah, so I felt like that needed to be an entire video all to itself. So post your comments for questions for me. I would love to do a video with all of your questions in it. And like and subscribe if you want to see weird content like this.